I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research.
I have recently become more interested in space stocks, especially Rocket Lab. You can watch a more in-depth video on Rocket Lab as linked above in the card. Regardless, I thought it would be worthwhile to make a broader video about many of the biggest space companies competing in the space industry. So in this video I will go over the following companies: Astra, Virgin Orbit, Firefly Aerospace, Relativity Space, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Rocket Lab. This is by no means a list of all the biggest competing space stocks. If I missed any you would like me to go over, leave a comment below. Furthermore, these companies are not all necessarily public. Regardless, let's get into the video. Astra's most recent Rocket 3 is 11.6 meters in height and is able to take a mass of 25 to 150 kg to Sun-synchronous orbit. Considering Rocket 1 to Rocket 3.3, all Astra launches have been failures, although Astra declared their first two launches as success despite mishaps occurring during flight or launch. Astra's most successful flight occurred in December 2020 with Rocket 3.2. Rocket 3.2 made it to space but unfortunately just fell short of orbit as it was moving at a speed of 7.2 km per second compared to the 7.68 km per second required to get it into orbit. Regardless, Astra was pleased with the result and was able to collect flight data for analysis. They were happy to be able to learn from this launch, which was just barely a failure. Astra is currently developing Rocket 4, which is an improvement to Rocket 3 that would allow a payload of several hundred kilograms to low Earth orbit. The first launch of this is expected in 2022. Astra has relatively cheaper multiples with a price to book of 5.69 and a PEG ratio for 5 years of 0.53. However, Astra currently appears to have no revenue, with the majority of their flights being test flights. Given the lack of a successful track record and the lack of revenue, it's clear why Astra may be sitting on the cheaper side when comparing it to other stocks such as Rocket Lab. Virgin Orbit competes directly in the small satellite market as a spin-off of Virgin Galactic. Launches are carried out using the Launcher 1 system, which is based upon proven technology and state-of-the-art manufacturing techniques. The system is nearly double the height of Astra's Rocket 3.0, with a height of 21 meters. The typical payload capacity is between 300 and 500 kilograms. This is an expendable rocket, which is not as appealing as a reusable rocket in my opinion. However, Virgin Orbit is able to make use of cutting-edge manufacturing technology to achieve reportedly 10 times quicker manufacturing. Unlike Astra, Virgin Orbit has had more of a successful launch track record, with a successful launch demonstration in January 2021. Launcher 1 was able to launch 7 satellites to low Earth orbit. 4 of these were from the US Department of Defense, 2 were for SAT Revolution, and the last was the first satellite launched by the Royal Netherlands Air Force. Impressively, Virgin Orbit uses a mobile launch pad, which means launches can be carried out wherever. Virgin Orbit is aiming to do more than 20 launches per year. Virgin Orbit is planning to go public on the Nasdaq. In my view, due to the brand name of Virgin, this may induce an inflated valuation due to how well known and often respected the company's values are, as well as the Virgin track record as a whole. The Firefly Alpha is an interesting rocket which has the highest payload performance for the lowest cost per kilogram to orbit in its class. The rocket has a height of 29 meters and is able to take 1000 kg to low Earth orbit and 630 kg to SSO. Alpha is to launch twice per month. These statistics, along with the low cost of launches and focus on small satellites, could make it a real danger to Rocket Lab. Unfortunately, the first launch of the Firefly Alpha was a failure due to engine failure around 15 seconds after launch. The vehicle itself was lost after 2.5 minutes of lost control. This means that for me, perhaps the track record is even worse than Astra due to the early stages of the rocket. However, the rocket itself seems to be far more promising than many competitors. Furthermore, it's only natural for failures to occur, particularly on the first launch. It will be interesting to see whether launches will be able to be successful within the next few, or whether the Alpha will continue to fail for many launches to come. Firefly Aerospace is a private company, meaning that you cannot easily invest in this company through the stock market. Relativity Space sets itself apart from the competition by using 3D printing, AI and robotics technology to create rockets that have 100 times less parts. This simplification of the supply chain allows rockets to be created from raw materials in just 60 days. The Terran 1 is the first entirely 3D printed rocket. It stands at 35 meters tall and is able to take 1,250 kg to low Earth orbit. The first launch is scheduled for June 2022. Relativity Space are also developing the Terran R. This will be the first fully reusable, entirely 3D printed rocket. It will be capable of taking over 20,000 kg to low Earth orbit. The first launch is set to take place in 2024. The prospects presented by these rockets are interesting, and the unique take using 3D printing may be able to create some of the best, most simple and quick to produce rockets available. Of course, there is no track record here, so the rockets may not even work. Similarly to Firefly Aerospace, this is not a publicly traded company. Now, SpaceX. This company needs no introduction and is without a doubt the most well-known and successful private space firm at the moment. SpaceX is diversified and carries out both human missions and other missions, such as taking payloads into orbit. Starlink is an interesting system in which satellites facilitate an internet connection to users in the most remote parts of the world. It's Starlink which makes up a significant proportion of SpaceX's valuation. SpaceX is a market leader and has shown some of the importance of full reusability in reducing costs in this emerging industry. For example, it's noted that a standard commercial airliner costs around the same as the Falcon 9. However, it was the fact that these rockets could only be used once compared with airlines that can be used tens of thousands of times in a lifetime, which is what made a difference. SpaceX states that reusable launch vehicles could reduce the cost of space travel by 100 times. SpaceX has the most solid and proven track record of success when it comes down to their rockets. They've carried out a total of 130 launches, made 92 landings, and reflown 71 rockets. This demonstrates that their business model of reusability is possible. The Falcon 9 is the flagship launch vehicle of SpaceX. It's 70 meters in height and is able to take 22,800 kilograms to low Earth orbit. Unlike other competitors, the Falcon 9 is capable of reaching Mars with a payload of 4,020 kilograms. The Falcon Heavy is able to take 63,800 kilograms to low Earth orbit and 16,800 kilograms to Mars. As I'm sure many of you are aware, SpaceX is not a publicly traded company, unfortunately. Blue Origin's New Glenn will be an incredibly impressive and exciting rocket if it proves it can fly successfully. Many have been growing frustrated with launches being delayed until late 2022 and doubt whether that even this date will be achieved. Blue Origin are often criticised with spending too much money and time on lawsuits trying to inhibit others whilst not meeting their own launch dates. Regardless, the New Glenn is set to stand at a height of 98 meters with a payload capacity of 45,000 kilograms to low Earth orbit. If this were possible, then the rocket would be a great achievement for the firm. We shall see whether this is achieved and whether Blue Origin's critics are silenced. Similarly to SpaceX, Blue Origin intends to engage in both satellite launches, human launches, and more. In all honesty, I struggle to become excited by Blue Origin, but would of course welcome being proven wrong, as the success of Blue Origin's ambitious projects could prove monumental in competing with SpaceX in this growing industry. In the interest of full disclosure, I own shares in Rocket Lab, and this is the company that I've done the deepest research into out of all on today's list. I've made a more thorough stock overview regarding Rocket Lab and a video regarding Rocket Lab's valuation. You can watch these via the card above or the link in the description. With this in mind, I will briefly go over Rocket Lab's current flagship rocket, the Electron, which has launched 105 satellites successfully and claims to be the only reusable small launch vehicle. Rocket Lab has a proven track record with 21 launches to date, with 3 failures. The Electron is 18 meters in height and is able to carry 300 kilograms to low Earth orbit. The Electron is impressively the second most frequently launched US rocket. The Neutron is a larger successor to the Electron, which is under development. It's aiming to bring 8,000 kg to low Earth orbit and 1,500 kg to Mars or Venus, whilst being reusable. It's set to be 40 meters in height and launches are aiming to begin in 2024. Importantly, Rocket Lab is also vertically integrated, creating satellite components to meet the increasing demand as well as providing spacecraft such as the Photon. In terms of valuation, Rocket Lab is naturally far more expensive than Astra as a public company, with a current market cap of around 6.5 billion. This gives Rocket Lab a forward 2021 price to sales of 130 using 2021 revenue. It's important to note that the firm has an ongoing backlog of contracts and that one of the launch pads in New Zealand has been unable to operate due to COVID-19 restrictions. Here's a quick summary of all the rockets I've gone over from these various companies. I'll leave it on screen for a few seconds, feel free to pause it. It's important to note that this comparison has contained some elements of my own opinion, and I do not intend to hide this. I just simply provided my comparison between some of the most promising commercial space companies at the forefront of innovation in spacecraft. Keep in mind that all expected dates and projections are subject to change and of course may not be realised. Thanks for watching. I'd appreciate it if you left a like and subscribed if you found this video informative. Furthermore, leave a comment if you would be interested in a deeper dive into any one of these companies.